Welcome to Socrates Beyond Time, a place where I share stories inspired by the thought-provoking spirit of the ancient Greek philosopher Socrates through slow, deep, and contemplative dialogues. In the series Socrates and the Masters of Persuasion, Socrates journeys across time to meet influential figures throughout history, engaging them in conversations that explore the true nature of persuasion, not merely as a technique, but as a way human beings connect with one another. Though these encounters are fictional, the spirit of Socrates and the insights revealed in each dialogue carry a timeless value, inviting us to reflect on how we think, speak, and influence others. If you'd like to explore this journey more deeply, you're warmly invited to visit socratesbeyondtime.blogspot.com, where these reflections continue, quietly yet meaningfully. There are encounters that do not aim to make words more captivating, but to make them more truthful. When Socrates faces David Ogilvy, persuasion is no longer the art of impressing, but the art of clarity, where each word does not need to dazzle, only to be true enough to be believed. One uses questions to strip away illusion. One uses simplicity to remove what is not real. Between them, there is no showmanship, only a quiet principle. Is the deepest respect for others, believing that they are wise enough to decide for themselves if we are honest enough not to lead them astray. New York, Madison Avenue, mid-20th century. Morning light fills an advertising office overlooking an endless stream of cars below. A desk stands neatly arranged, manuscripts aligned in careful order. The advertising world by then had grown accustomed to exaggeration, promising more than the truth, believing buyers could easily be led by noise and glitter. David Ogilvy sits before an advertisement about to be sent out. He does not ask how to shock the reader. He asks instead, if I were the reader, would I believe this? One overly grand sentence is crossed out. A clear fact is kept. A promise is rewritten to be more precise. In that moment, he chooses a position from which there is no return, to treat the buyer as an intelligent person. From then on, advertising is no longer only emotional manipulation. It becomes a conversation built on respect. A quiet shift begins. Trust becomes a competitive advantage. Behind him stands Socrates, reading each line again. In that restraint, he recognizes a familiar principle. Dialogue only has meaning when we believe the other person possesses reason. And softly, he wonders, when we truly respect another person's intelligence, perhaps the first thing persuaded is the conscience of the one who speaks.
You have just erased a sentence that many would call brilliant.
Brilliant for the writer, not for the reader.
You fear they might not understand.
No, I fear underestimating their intelligence.
Socrates smiles.
In Athens, the sophists believed the people needed to be led. You seem to believe the opposite.
If I must shout to be noticed, I have already lost.
Socrates steps closer to the desk.
How intelligent do you believe the buyer is?
Intelligent enough to recognize when I am telling the truth, and intelligent enough to turn away when I pretend.
Then your advertising is not meant to deceive?
Bad advertising needs deception. Good advertising only needs clarity.
Socrates studies the headline.
You do not rely on strong emotion.
I rely on respect.
You do not promise much.
I promise accurately.
A moment of silence.
In Bernays, I saw crowds guided without knowing. In Hopkins, I saw behavior dissected with cold precision. In Carnegie, I saw people embraced. But in you, I see something different.
I give them the right to decide. If the product is unworthy, advertising cannot save it. You are placing ethics into the very structure of the message. Not lofty ethics, just the understanding that the customer is not the enemy.
You know, many would call that naive.
Naive is believing you can deceive an intelligent person many times.
Socrates looks out the window.
Then persuasion, in your way, is what?
To say enough for them to understand and remain silent enough for them to choose.
You are not afraid of losing sales.
I am more afraid of losing credibility. Sales can be bought with tricks, credibility cannot.
Socrates nods slowly.
Perhaps respecting the buyer's intelligence is the only way to preserve the seller's own.
Ogilvy returns to the manuscript, puts down his pen, and writes the final line. David Ogilvy did not believe in the foolish customer. He believed in clarity, truth, and self-respect. In a world where persuasion often relies on manipulation, Ogilvy chose a harder path, to treat the buyer as an adult. This imagined encounter leaves behind a quiet question. If we do not dare believe that our customers are intelligent enough, perhaps what we fear most is not them, but the emptiness within our own message. For enduring persuasion does not come from saying more, but from saying what is right and enough.